They say Halloween brings out everyone's true nature. Standing in Richard's crowded living room, watching my wife Mara laugh at another man's jokes while dressed like Catwoman, I figured the saying had some merit. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "Derek, you look like someone stole your candy," Nikki said, appearing beside me with 2 beers. Richard's wife had that sharp-tongued honesty that made her either your best friend or worst enemy, depending on which side of her observations you landed on. "Just admiring the costumes," I replied, accepting the beer. "Amazing how much effort people put into pretending to be someone else for one night." Nikki followed my gaze to where Mara stood near the fireplace, her black leather outfit fitting like a second skin. She was deep in conversation with Dominic Cross, who'd shown up dressed as Tarzan in what looked like a loincloth and not much else. His wife Susie, Mara's supposed best friend, stood right there encouraging whatever was happening. "Some people don't need costumes to pretend," Nikki said quietly. I took a long drink. At 39, I'd learned to read between the lines of suburban social gatherings, the whispered conversations that stopped when you approached, the meaningful glances exchanged over wine glasses, the way your wife suddenly needed to check her phone every 5 minutes. "Derek!" John's voice boomed across the room. My old friend pushed through the crowd, already 3 sheets to the wind. "Settle an argument for us. Superman versus Hulk, who wins?" "Depends on the rules," I said, grateful for the distraction. "Are we talking comic book logic or real-world physics?" "Real world," said Tom, one of Richard's neighbors. "Hulk gets stronger when he's angry, right? Superman's got limits." "Superman's weakness is magic and kryptonite," John argued. "Hulk's weakness is calming down. I know which one I'd bet on." While they debated, I noticed Mara had moved closer to Dominic. Her hand touched his arm when she laughed. Susie whispered something that made both women giggle like teenagers. The sound carried across the room, sharp and conspiratorial. "You know what I think?" I said, interrupting the superhero debate. "The real question isn't who's stronger, it's who's willing to fight dirty." The conversation died for a moment. Tom looked uncomfortable. John raised his eyebrows. "That's dark, man," John said. "Halloween brings out everyone's true nature." I repeated Nikki's earlier comment. "Some people are heroes, some are villains, most are just pretending to be something they're not." I excused myself and headed toward the kitchen for another beer. The house was packed with neighbors, co-workers, and friends from our tight-knit suburban community. Everyone knew everyone else's business or thought they did. That's how small towns worked, even when they were really just subdivisions outside a mid-sized city. The kitchen was quieter, just a few people refilling drinks. I grabbed a beer from the cooler and was heading back when I heard voices from the hallway leading to the back of the house. "Can't keep doing this," Mara's voice lower than usual. "Why not?" Dominic's reply, cocky as always. "Susie thinks it's hilarious. She's covering for us." "Derek's not stupid. He notices things." "So what if he does? What's he gonna do about it? Guy manages chain restaurants and tells dad jokes. I work with my hands, build things. We both know what women really want." I pressed myself against the wall, hidden by shadows. My heart hammered, but my mind went cold and clear, the way it used to in the boxing ring when I was younger, when I could see the other guy's punch coming before he threw it. "It's not about what I want," Mara said, but her voice lacked conviction. "We're married. We have a daughter. And you're miserable. I can see it every time you look at him. You married safe, Mara. You settled. But settling doesn't have to be permanent." There was a long pause. Then Mara's voice, barely a whisper. "This is crazy. Crazy would be wasting your life with someone who doesn't appreciate what he has. I appreciate you, Mara. Every inch." I heard movement, the rustle of fabric. When I risked a glance around the corner, Dominic had Mara pressed against the wall, his hands on either side of her head. She wasn't pushing him away. I stepped back into the kitchen, my face burning. The logical part of my brain cataloged details. Dominic's arrogance, Mara's lack of resistance, Susie's involvement. The emotional part wanted to march down that hallway and introduce Dominic's face to the wall. Instead, I opened my beer and took a long drink. Then another. There you are. Richard appeared, slightly drunk and grinning. Great party, right? Everyone's having a blast. Yeah, I said. Real blast. You okay? You look a little pale. Maybe lay off the beer for a while? I'm fine. Just thinking about costumes. How people choose what to dress up as. Oh, that's easy. Most people pick what they secretly want to be. Mara looks incredible as Catwoman, by the way. Very authentic. I almost laughed. Authentic. That was one word for it. What about Dominic? I asked. What's Tarzan supposed to represent? Richard shrugged. Primitive masculinity, king of the jungle, guy who takes what he wants. He paused, studying my expression. Why? Just curious about people's motivations. We rejoined the main party. The music was louder now, the conversations more animated. I found myself watching the room like I was studying opponents before a fight, reading body language, noting alliances, seeing who was really friends and who was just pretending. Susie caught my eye from across the room and raised her drink in a mock toast. Her smile was sharp, predatory. She knew I'd seen something or suspected I had. This was a game to her. John appeared at my elbow again. You're being weird tonight, Derek. More than usual. Just observing human nature. Sounds boring. Come on, let's get you another drink and find someone to argue with about sports. But I wasn't in the mood for distractions anymore. I was done playing the oblivious husband, the guy who managed restaurants and told dad jokes. If Mara and Dominic wanted to play games, I'd show them what games really looked like. Actually, John, I think I'm going to head home soon. Early day tomorrow. Come on, it's Saturday night. Live a little. Oh, I plan to, I said. Starting very soon. I found Mara by the fireplace again, now standing with a group of neighborhood wives. She looked up when I approached, her expression carefully neutral. Ready to go? I asked. Already? The party's just getting started. I'm tired. Long week. She glanced around the room, her eyes finding Dominic near the back patio. Maybe we could stay another hour. I'm leaving in 10 minutes. You can ride with me or find another way home. The other wives exchanged glances. Mara's cheeks flushed. Whether from embarrassment or anger, I couldn't tell. Fine, she said. Let me get my purse. The drive home was silent, except for the radio playing soft rock hits from the 90s. Mara stared out the passenger window, her Catwoman mask dangling from her fingers. In the dashboard light, she looked younger, almost vulnerable. Did you have fun? I asked as we pulled into our driveway. It was fine. Richard throws good parties. Yeah, everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. Lots of interesting conversations. She shot me a look. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing specific. Just noticed people talking. You know how these neighborhood things get. Everyone's got opinions about everyone else. Inside our house, the babysitter reported that 8-year-old Emma had gone to bed without trouble. After she left, Mara headed straight for the stairs. I'm going to shower and go to bed, she said, without looking back. Mara. She stopped, one hand on the banister. If you ever decide you want something different, I said carefully, just be honest about it. Don't make me the fool who's the last to know. For a moment, her mask slipped completely. I saw guilt, fear, and something else. Calculation. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. After she went upstairs, I sat in my home office and opened a beer. On my desk was a framed photo from our wedding day. We looked happy, hopeful, young and stupid maybe, but genuine. I picked up the photo and studied Mara's face. When had that openness disappeared? When had she started looking at me like I was an obstacle instead of a partner? My phone buzzed. A text from John. "Everything okay? You seemed off tonight." I typed back, "Just tired. Thanks for checking." But I wasn't tired. I was wide awake, my mind racing through possibilities and plans. If Mara wanted to play games, I'd give her a game. If Dominic thought he could take what was mine, he'd learn otherwise. If Susie wanted to pull strings from the shadows, she'd find out what happened when someone cut those strings. I was done being the fool. Time to see who the real clown was. Sunday morning brought the kind of awkward quiet that follows a storm. Mara made coffee and toast without speaking, moving around the kitchen like she was afraid to make noise. Emma chattered about her sleepover plans, oblivious to the tension crackling between her parents. "Can I go to Madison's house after lunch?" Emma asked, syrup dripping from her fork. "Sure, sweetheart," I said. "I'll drop you off." Mara looked up from her coffee. "I can take her. I don't have any plans today." "Actually, I was hoping we could talk later, just us." Her hand tightened around her mug. "About what?" "Things. Us. The future." Emma looked between us with the sharp intuition kids develop when their world starts shifting. "Are you guys fighting?" "No, baby," Mara said quickly. "Daddy and I just need to discuss some grown-up stuff." After breakfast, I helped Emma pack her overnight bag while Mara disappeared upstairs. When I heard the shower running, I made my move. Mara's phone sat on the kitchen counter charging. She'd always been careless with it, never thinking I'd look. Why would I? I was the trusting husband, the guy who managed restaurants and told dad jokes. Her password was Emma's birthday. Of course it was. The text thread with Dominic made my stomach clench. Messages going back 3 weeks, increasingly intimate. Photos I recognized from our bedroom, taken when I was at work. Plans for meetings at his apartment while Susie was visiting her mother. But it was the most recent exchange that made my hands shake. Dominic. Last night was close. Think he suspects? Mara. Maybe. He's acting strange. Dominic. So what? Guy's a pushover. What's he gonna do, cry? Mara. You don't know Derek like I do. He's not as soft as he looks. Dominic. I'm not worried. Meet me Tuesday afternoon. Susie's covering at work. Mara. This has to stop soon. I can't keep lying. Dominic. Then don't. Leave him. We've talked about this. Mara. It's complicated. Emma, the house, everything. Dominic. Life's short, babe. You deserve better than settling. I took screenshots with my own phone, then deleted the evidence from her message history. When the shower stopped running upstairs, I was back in the living room reading the newspaper like nothing had happened. The drive to Madison's house was quiet. Emma hugged me extra tight before running inside, like she sensed something was wrong. Kids always know. Pick you up tomorrow after school, I called after her. Can't wait to hear about your sleepover adventures. On the way back, I stopped at the grocery store. Not because we needed anything, but because I needed time to think. I walked the aisles slowly, my mind working through options like I was planning a business strategy. The direct approach: confront Mara, demand she end it, threaten divorce. The passive approach: pretend ignorance, hope it burned out naturally. The smart approach: gather more evidence, plan my moves, control the narrative. I'd spent 15 years in restaurant management. I knew how to handle problems quietly, efficiently, without making a scene that hurt the business. This was just another kind of problem solving. At home, Mara was cleaning the kitchen with unusual intensity. Stress cleaning, her therapist would have called it. We should talk, I said. She didn't look up from scrubbing the already clean counter. About what? You tell me. You seem upset about something. I'm fine. Mara, look at me. She finally turned around, her face carefully composed. What do you want to discuss? I studied her expression, looking for cracks in the facade. Are you happy? In our marriage, I mean. The question caught her off guard. She blinked, opened her mouth, closed it again. That's a loaded question, she said finally. It's a simple question. Are you happy being married to me? Derek, where is this coming from? Answer the question. She set down the dish towel and crossed her arms. I don't like being interrogated in my own kitchen. Your kitchen? Interesting way to put it. Our kitchen. You know what I meant. Do I? Lately, I'm not sure I know what you mean about anything. We stared at each other across the kitchen island. The silence stretched until Mara looked away. I'm happy enough, she said quietly. Happy enough. That's romantic. Not everything is a fairy tale, Derek. We're adults. We have responsibilities. Right. Responsibilities. Like being faithful to your spouse. Her face went pale. What's that supposed to mean? It means what it means. You figure it out. I left her standing there and went to my office. Through the window, I could see the Cross house 2 streets over. Dominic's truck was in the driveway, freshly washed and gleaming. He was proud of that truck, always talking about the custom paint job and expensive rims. That gave me an idea. Monday morning, I called in sick to work, something I rarely did, which made it believable. Instead of heading to the restaurant, I drove to the auto parts store and bought a bag of sugar and a small funnel. The Cross house sat on a corner lot with plenty of street parking. At 10 in the morning, most people were at work. Dominic's shift at the factory didn't start until 2, so he was probably still sleeping off his weekend. I parked 3 houses down and walked casually to his truck. The sugar went into the gas tank smooth as silk. Then I placed a small sticker on his windshield. Tarzan was here, in jungle-themed letters I'd found at the party store. Phase 1 complete. For Phase 2, I drove to Dominic's gym. I'd done my research over the weekend, learned his routines, his hangouts, his habits. The gym was one of those hardcore places where serious lifters went to grunt and sweat without judgment. The locker room was empty, except for an old guy getting changed. I found locker 47, Dominic's usual spot according to the front desk girl who thought I was a potential new member asking about facilities. The note I slipped through the vents was simple. Real men don't need loincloths. Stay away from other men's wives. By the time I got home, Mara had left for work. I spent the afternoon researching divorce lawyers and asset protection strategies, not because I'd decided anything yet, but because information was power. My phone rang around 4. John's name on the caller ID. Hey man, feeling better? Heard you called in sick. Yeah, just needed a mental health day. You know how it is. Actually, funny story. Remember Dominic from the party? Guy in the Tarzan costume? My pulse quickened. What about him? His truck broke down at work today. Had to get it towed. And get this, someone left a weird sticker on his windshield. Tarzan was here, or something like that. Guy was furious, asking everyone if they knew who did it. Huh, that's weird, right? And then at the gym, he found some kind of threatening note in his locker. He's telling everyone someone's harassing him, but nobody knows who or why. Maybe he pissed off the wrong person. Maybe. But here's the thing. He seemed really paranoid, like looking over his shoulder, asking if anyone had been asking about him. You know anything about that? I kept my voice casual. Why would I know anything about Dominic Cross? Just asking. You seemed interested in his costume choice at the party. I was making conversation, John, not planning industrial sabotage. John laughed. Fair enough. Just thought it was a crazy coincidence. Guy acts like king of the world, then suddenly he's jumping at shadows. After we hung up, I felt a surge of satisfaction. Dominic was rattled. Good. Let him wonder who was watching, who knew his secrets. That evening, Mara came home distracted and jumpy. She checked her phone constantly, typed quick responses, then put it away like it was on fire. Everything okay at work? I asked over dinner. Fine. Just busy. You seem stressed. I'm not stressed. But she was. Her hands shook slightly when she reached for her water glass. She kept glancing at me like she was trying to read my thoughts. After Emma went to bed, we sat in the living room watching television. Some mindless comedy that neither of us was really following. During commercial breaks, the silence felt oppressive. "Derek," Mara said during the third break. "About yesterday, our conversation in the kitchen. What about it? I don't want you to think, I know I haven't been the best wife lately." Define best wife. She twisted her wedding ring, a nervous habit I'd noticed more frequently. Attentive, present, I've been distracted by work and other things. Other things? Just life. You know how it gets. Actually, I don't. Why don't you explain it to me? She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw fear in her eyes. Not fear of me, but fear of losing control of her carefully constructed narrative. "I love you," she said quietly. "Do you?" "Of course I do. We have a life together, a daughter, a home." "That's not the same thing as love, Mara." "What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me the truth. For once." She opened her mouth, closed it, then shook her head. "I don't know what you think is going on, but I think you're lying to me. I think you've been lying for weeks, maybe months. I think you're treating me like I'm stupid, and I think you're going to regret that." The words hung in the air between us. Mara's face cycled through emotions. Surprise, guilt, anger, calculation. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm promising you. If you want out of this marriage, be honest about it. If you want to stay, then stay, but don't treat me like a fool. I'm not—" "Yes, you are, and it stops now." I stood up and headed for the stairs. "Where are you going?" "To bed. Unlike some people, I have work tomorrow." "Derek, wait." But I didn't wait. I was done waiting. Done being patient. Done being the understanding husband who made excuses for his wife's behavior. The game had started, and I intended to win. Tuesday afternoon, I left work early and drove to Mulligan's Bar on the east side of town. It wasn't the kind of place Mara or her friends would ever visit. Too blue-collar, too honest. Perfect for what I had in mind. The owner, Big Mike, had been running amateur fight nights for years. Nothing fancy, just local guys settling disputes or showing off for their girlfriends. I'd participated a few times in my younger days, back when I thought my fists could solve problems. "Derek Lane," Mike said when I walked in. "Haven't seen you in ages. What brings you to my humble establishment?" "Business proposition. I want to sponsor a special event. Winner takes all, open challenge format." Mike's eyes lit up. "What kind of money we talking about?" $500 prize. Plus I'll cover the bar tab for spectators." "That's generous. What's the catch?" "No catch. Just want to give back to the community. Maybe invite some new faces, shake things up." "You got someone specific in mind?" I smiled. "Maybe. Guy named Dominic Cross. Works at the factory, thinks he's tough. Might be fun to see what he's made of." Mike nodded slowly. "And you'd be willing to referee? Keep things fair?" "Absolutely. When can we set it up?" "Friday night works. I'll spread the word." Wednesday evening, I was grilling burgers in the backyard when John called. "Dude, you hear about this fight thing at Mulligan's? Some anonymous sponsor putting up serious money." "Yeah? Sounds interesting." "Get this. Dominic Cross is talking about entering. Guy's been acting weird all week, but now he's bragging about how he's going to show everyone what real strength looks like." "Is that right?" "Yeah. And here's the kicker. He's telling people he's been training for years, that he could take anyone in town. Even mentioned you specifically, said something about restaurant managers not knowing what real work looks like." My grip tightened on the phone. "He mentioned me?" "By name. Said you were soft, that guys like you give real men a bad name. Pretty harsh stuff." "Huh. Well, maybe I should come watch the show. See what all the fuss is about. You should. It'll be fun. Like old times. After dinner, I found Mara in the laundry room, folding clothes with mechanical precision. Her phone buzzed constantly, but she ignored it. Busy night? I asked. Just catching up on chores. Your phone's been going off a lot. She glanced at the device, frowning. Work stuff. Crisis with the Henderson account. On a Wednesday night? You know how clients can be. I picked up one of my shirts from the clean pile. Mara, do you think I'm soft? The question surprised her. She looked up, studying my face. What kind of question is that? Simple one. Do you think I'm weak? Soft? Not a real man? Derek, where is this coming from? Answer the question. She set down the towel she'd been folding. You're not soft. You're gentle, thoughtful. Those are good qualities. But not exciting ones. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Her phone buzzed again. This time she grabbed it quickly, glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. Problem with the Henderson account? I asked. What? The work crisis you mentioned. Looks like it's getting worse. She fumbled with the phone, nearly dropping it. It's fine, just complicated. I bet it is. Friday night, Mulligan's was packed. Word had spread about the mystery sponsor and the prize money. The crowd was a mix of factory workers, construction guys, and curious locals drawn by the spectacle. I arrived early and found Big Mike setting up the makeshift ring, really just a cleared area surrounded by rope and sawhorses. Good turnout, I said. Best I've seen in months. Your boy Dominic's here, talking big. You sure you want a referee? Might get messy. I can handle it. The crowd parted as Dominic made his entrance. He wore gym shorts and a tank top that showed off his muscles, playing up the tough guy image. Susie was with him, along with a few other factory workers cheering him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike announced, tonight's sponsor has agreed to referee our main event. Derek Lane, local business owner and former amateur boxer. The crowd applauded politely. Dominic's expression shifted when he saw me, surprise giving way to something uglier. Interesting, he said loud enough for nearby spectators to hear. Didn't know restaurant managers were qualified to judge real fighters. We'll see who's qualified, I replied evenly. 3 other guys had entered the competition, but it was clear the crowd was here to see Dominic. He made quick work of the first 2 opponents, both smaller, less experienced fighters who were more interested in the prize money than actual competition. By the time we reached the final match, Dominic was cocky and loose. He'd been drinking between fights, celebrating prematurely. The crowd was on his side, cheering his obvious strength and aggression. His final opponent was Tommy Rodriguez, a wiry construction worker with more heart than size. The mismatch was obvious from the start. Keep it clean, I told both fighters. No low blows, no holds, no weapons. First man to tap out or hit the ground loses. The fight began with Dominic charging forward, using his size advantage to drive Tommy backward. The crowd roared approval as he landed several solid hits. But Tommy was quicker, slipping some of Dominic's haymaker punches and getting in shots of his own. More importantly, he was sober and focused, while Dominic was getting sloppy. "Come on, Dom!" Susie shouted from the crowd. "Finish him!" That's when I made my move. "Break!" I called, stepping between the fighters. "Dominic, you're holding. That's against the rules." "I wasn't holding," he protested, sweat dripping down his face. "I saw what I saw. Warning one. Do it again, and you forfeit." The crowd murmured. Dominic glared at me, but nodded. The fight resumed, and within 30 seconds, Dominic grabbed Tommy's shirt to land a punch. Standard move in a street fight, but technically against the rules I'd established. "Break. That's holding. Second warning." "That's bullshit," Dominic exploded. "You're cheating." "I'm enforcing the rules. You want to forfeit?" "Hell no." But now he was angry and unfocused. Tommy, sensing opportunity, pressed his advantage. When Dominic threw a wild punch, Tommy ducked and swept his legs. Dominic went down hard, his head bouncing off the concrete floor. The crowd went silent. "Winner Tommy Rodriguez," I announced. Dominic struggled to his feet, his face red with humiliation and rage. "This is bullshit! You set me up!" "I refereed fairly. You lost because you broke the rules and lost focus." "You son of a jerk! You planned this!" He lunged at me, but 3 weeks of paranoia and stress had taken their toll. His movement was telegraphed, sloppy. I sidestepped easily and let his momentum carry him into the rope barrier. The crowd laughed. "Maybe stick to factory work," someone called out. "Tarzan got his ass kicked." Dominic's face went purple. He looked around the room, seeing mockery instead of respect, laughter instead of admiration. His eyes found mine, and I saw the exact moment he realized who was behind his recent troubles. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "Yes, it is," I replied. "It's very over." Saturday morning brought consequences. Mara was already gone when I woke up, unusual for a weekend. Emma was at her sleepover, so I had the house to myself. My phone rang around 10. John, of course. "Holy shit, Derek. You were amazing last night. The way you handled Dominic was perfect. Guy made a complete ass of himself." "Just doing my job as referee." "Come on, man, that was personal. Everyone could see it. What's the story between you two?" "No story, just don't like bullies." "Well, you made your point. Video's already making the rounds on social media. Factory tough guy gets schooled by restaurant manager. It's brutal." My stomach dropped. "Video?" "Oh yeah, someone filmed the whole thing. Dominic falling on his ass, you dodging his charge like a matador. It's comedy gold. Already got like 300 views." After we hung up, I found the video on Facebook. The quality was poor, but the humiliation was crystal clear. Dominic's drunken stumble, his failed attack, the crowd's laughter. The comments were merciless. Tarzan needs to go back to the jungle. When keeping it real goes wrong, Derek Lane for mayor. Factory boy got owned. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think you're clever? This isn't finished." I screenshotted it and saved it to a folder I'd created called Evidence. Mara came home around noon, her face tight with stress. She'd been crying. Her makeup couldn't quite hide the redness around her eyes. "Where were you?" I asked. "Shopping. Had to get Emma a new backpack. Stores don't open until 10 on Saturdays. I got coffee first. Needed to think." "About what?" She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw something new in her expression. Fear, yes, but also a kind of desperate calculation. "Derek, we need to talk." "I'm listening. About us, about everything." "What about everything?" She sat down across from me at the kitchen table, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. "I know you know," she said quietly. "Know what?" "Don't make me say it, please." "I'm not making you do anything, Mara. You're free to say whatever you want, or nothing at all. I made a mistake, a stupid, terrible mistake. But it's over now." "Is it?" "Yes, completely over. It meant nothing." "If it meant nothing, why did you do it?" She started crying then, real tears that she didn't try to hide. "I don't know. I was confused, unhappy, looking for something that wasn't there." "And did you find it?" "No. I found out what I already had was better than what I thought I wanted." I studied her face, looking for truth among the tears and desperation. "What changed your mind?" "Seeing what kind of man he really is. Seeing what kind of man you are." "And what kind of man am I?" "The kind who fights fair. The kind who keeps his word. The kind who protects what matters to him." "Is that what I did? Protect what matters?" She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I saw the video, Derek. Everyone's talking about it. About how you handled him. Just doing my civic duty." "No, it was more than that. You could have destroyed him, but you didn't. You just made your point." And what point was that? That some things aren't worth taking, that some men aren't worth crossing. We sat in silence for a long moment. Outside, a neighbor was mowing his lawn, the sound of suburban normalcy continuing despite the wreckage of our marriage. "So, what happens now?" she asked. "That depends on you." "What do you mean?" "I mean, you have a choice to make. You can be my wife, completely and honestly, or you can be someone else's problem. But you can't be both." "I want to be your wife." "Wanting and doing are different things." "I know. I'll prove it to you." "How?" "However you want me to." I leaned back in my chair, studying her face. The tears were real, but so was the calculation behind them. She was scared, cornered, looking for a way out that didn't cost her everything. "We'll see," I said finally. But even as I said it, I knew it was too late. The game had started, and I discovered I was very good at playing it. Better than I'd ever imagined. The question now wasn't whether I'd forgive her. It was whether I'd let her know I never intended to. Monday morning brought the first sign that my weekend victory was just the beginning. I was reviewing inventory reports when my assistant manager, Kelly, knocked on my office door. "Derek, there's a call for you on line 2. Guy sounds upset." I picked up the phone. "Derek Lane speaking." "You son of a jerk." Dominic's voice tight with rage. "You think you're real smart, don't you?" "I think you have the wrong number. Don't play games with me. I know what you did. The truck, the gym, that setup at the bar. You think you can mess with me? I think you should be careful about making accusations you can't prove." "I don't need proof. I know." "What you know and what you can demonstrate are two different things. Maybe you should focus on your own problems instead of creating new ones." There was a long pause. When he spoke again, his voice was different, colder. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. Stay away from my wife, stay away from my family, and we won't have any more problems." "Or what?" "Or you'll find out what problems really look like." I hung up and immediately called my bank. Time to protect my assets. The conversation with the financial advisor was enlightening. Apparently, there were several legal ways to restructure joint accounts and protect marital assets during temporary separations. Nothing illegal, nothing that would trigger immediate red flags, but enough to ensure that if Mara decided to run, she wouldn't be running with my money. By Wednesday, I'd moved most of our liquid savings into an account requiring both signatures for withdrawals. I'd also started documenting everything: Mara's schedule, her phone usage, her mood changes, building a case just in case. That evening, Mara was unusually attentive. She cooked my favorite dinner, asked about my day, even suggested we watch a movie together. The performance was almost convincing. "You seem happier," she said as we cleaned up the kitchen. "Do I?" "More relaxed, like a weight's been lifted." "Maybe it has." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm glad we talked on Saturday. I feel like we're going to be okay." "Time will tell." "Derek, I know I hurt you. I know trust takes time to rebuild. But I want you to know, I'm committed to making this work." "Good to know." "Is that all you're going to say?" I dried the last plate and hung up the towel. "What do you want me to say, Mara?" "That you forgive me, that we can move past this." "I haven't decided yet." Her smile faltered. "What do you mean?" "I mean, forgiveness isn't automatic. It's earned, and you haven't earned it yet." "What do I have to do?" "Be honest, completely honest, about everything." She looked away. "I have been honest." "Have you? Because I don't think you've told me the whole truth. I think you've told me the minimum you thought you could get away with." "That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been not cheating on your husband. Fair would have been not making me look like a fool in front of our friends and neighbors." "I never meant..." You never meant to get caught. There's a difference. Thursday brought news that made my day considerably brighter. John called around lunch with gossip from the factory. Your buddy Dominic is having a rough week, he said. Apparently someone reported him for drinking on the job. Management's conducting an investigation. Is that right? Yeah, and get this. His wife Susie is telling people he's been acting paranoid and aggressive at home. She's staying at her mother's for a few days. Trouble in paradise? Sounds like it. Word is he's been obsessing over that bar fight, claiming someone's out to get him. Susie thinks he's losing it. Maybe he is. Maybe. Oh, and there's more. Remember that video from Friday night? It's gone viral locally. Someone made a meme out of it. When you think you're tough but life says no. It's everywhere. After we hung up, I allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. Dominic's world was crumbling, and he was doing most of the work himself. Paranoia was a powerful force. It made people see enemies everywhere, even where none existed. That evening, I was working in my home office when I heard Mara on the phone in the kitchen. Her voice was low, urgent. I crept closer to listen. Can't keep doing this, she was saying. He knows, maybe not everything, but enough. A pause. No, I don't think he has proof, but he's different now, colder, like he's planning something. Another pause, longer this time. I don't know what to do. He's got control of the money. He's watching everything I do. I feel trapped. A chill ran through me. She was still talking to Dominic. After everything, after her tears and promises, she was still in contact with him. Maybe we should just go, she continued. Take Emma and leave. Start over somewhere else. I'd heard enough. I slipped back to my office and closed the door quietly. So that was her game. Play the repentant wife while planning an escape. Take my daughter and disappear. Not happening. Friday afternoon, I put the final phase of my plan into motion. I called in a favor from my security system installer and had cameras placed around the house, hidden ones that would record everything. Then I made another call to Big Mike at Mulligan's. Remember that favor you owe me? I asked. Sure, what do you need? Spread the word that I'll be out of town this weekend. Business trip. Make sure it gets back to the right people. You got it. Anything else? Just make sure everyone knows I won't be back until Sunday night. That evening, I told Mara about my emergency business trip. The corporate office needs me in Chicago, I lied smoothly. Problem with the quarterly reports. I'll be gone until Sunday. She tried to look disappointed. That's too bad. Emma was looking forward to the zoo on Saturday. You two can still go. Maybe ask Susie to join you if she's back from her mother's. Something flickered in her eyes. I don't think Susie's available this weekend. No? That's too bad. You two used to be inseparable. Saturday morning, I kissed Mara goodbye and drove toward the highway. But instead of heading to Chicago, I circled back and parked 3 blocks away in the lot of an abandoned strip mall with a clear view of my street. I didn't have to wait long. At 10:30 a.m., Dominic's truck pulled into my driveway. He'd borrowed someone else's vehicle, a beat-up Honda that I almost didn't recognize. But the swagger was unmistakable as he walked to my front door. Mara let him in immediately. No hesitation, no looking around to see if neighbors were watching. They'd done this before. I checked my phone. The security cameras were recording everything, uploading to a cloud server that only I could access. Whatever happened next, I'd have proof. They stayed inside for 2 hours. When they finally emerged, they were carrying suitcases, mine and Mara's. Emma was with them, looking confused and upset. Mommy, why can't we wait for Daddy? I heard her ask as they loaded the car. Daddy's busy with work, sweetheart. We're going on an adventure. But I want to say goodbye. You can call him later. My hands clenched around the steering wheel. They were kidnapping my daughter, taking her away from her home, her school, her life. using her as a pawn in their escape plan. That changed everything. I called 911. "I'd like to report a break-in in progress," I told the dispatcher. "Someone's in my house taking my belongings. I can see them from across the street." "Are you the homeowner, sir?" "Yes. Derek Lane, 1247 Maple Street. I'm supposed to be out of town, but I came back early and saw strangers in my house." "We're sending units now. Stay where you are and don't approach the suspects." The first police car arrived just as they were backing out of my driveway. The second one blocked their exit. I watched from my hiding spot as the officers approached the Honda. Through my phone, I could see the security footage. Dominic and Mara in my house, going through my belongings, taking whatever they wanted. Emma's confused tears as they rushed her out the door. The confrontation lasted 20 minutes. I couldn't hear everything, but I saw Mara gesticulating wildly, probably trying to explain why she was removing property from her own home. Dominic stood silent, his face dark with anger. In the end, they were both taken to the station for questioning. Emma was released to my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, who'd agreed to be our emergency contact. I waited another hour before returning from my trip early. The performance for the neighbors was Academy Award worthy. Shocked husband discovering his wife's attempted escape, concerned father rushing to comfort his daughter. "I don't understand," I told Officer Martinez. "I was supposed to be gone until tomorrow." "Why would they think the house was empty? According to your wife, she was just retrieving some clothes and personal items. She says there was a misunderstanding." "What kind of misunderstanding involves a man who isn't her husband helping her pack suitcases?" The officer's expression was carefully neutral. "We're still investigating, sir, but the security footage you provided is quite helpful." Sunday evening, Mara came home. Dominic had been held longer. Apparently, his parole officer had been notified about the incident, and breaking into houses violated the terms of his early release from a previous conviction. Information I'd discovered during my research but hadn't needed to use until now. "Derek, I can explain," she said as soon as she walked through the door. "I'm sure you can. You're very creative." "It's not what it looked like." "Really?" "Because it looked like you were stealing from me and kidnapping my daughter." "She's my daughter too." "Is she? Because a real mother wouldn't traumatize her child by dragging her into an escape plan with her boyfriend." Mara's face crumpled. "He's not my boyfriend. Not anymore." "Then why was he helping you pack?" "I was scared. I thought you were going to divorce me, take everything, leave me with nothing. I panicked." "So you decided to take everything first?" "I wasn't thinking clearly." "No, you were thinking very clearly. You were planning to disappear with my daughter and my belongings. The only thing you didn't plan for was getting caught." She sat down heavily on the couch, her head in her hands. "What happens now?" "Now you face the consequences of your choices." "Are you divorcing me?" "I haven't decided yet." "Derek, please. I know I made mistakes, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work things out." "Can we?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been lying to me for months. Every conversation we've had, every promise you've made, has been bullshit." "That's not true." "Prove it." "How?" I leaned forward, studying her face. "Tell me everything, every detail, every lie, every moment you chose him over me. All of it." "Derek." "All of it, Mara. Or this conversation is over and you can talk to my lawyer instead." She looked up at me then, and I saw the exact moment she realized the game had changed. I wasn't the understanding husband anymore. I wasn't the guy who managed restaurants and told dad jokes. I was something else entirely, something she'd created but never expected to face. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll tell you everything." But I already knew everything. The question now was what I was going to do about it. The confession took 3 hours. Mara sat on our couch, tears streaming down her face, and told me everything. Every meeting, every lie, every moment she'd chosen Dominic over our marriage. It was worse than I'd imagined, and exactly what I'd expected. It started at the gym, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He was always there when I worked out, always complimenting me, making me feel attractive. When? 3 months ago, maybe 4. I wasn't counting. I was. 4 months, 2 weeks, 3 days. That's when you started coming home late from the gym. She looked up, startled. You were tracking me? I was noticing my wife's behavior. There's a difference. Derek, I never meant for it to go so far. It was just flirting at first. When did it become more than flirting? The first time was 6 weeks ago, at his apartment while Susie was visiting her mother. And how many times after that? I don't know, maybe a dozen? 14. I counted the days you had emergencies at work or extended gym sessions. Her face went white. How do you know that? Because I've been paying attention, Mara. While you were playing house with your boyfriend, I was documenting everything. You've been spying on me. I've been protecting myself. Good thing, too, considering you were planning to disappear with my daughter. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I was scared. I thought you were going to leave me with nothing. So instead, you decided to leave me with nothing. That's not how I saw it. How did you see it? I saw a chance to start over, to be happy. With Dominic. Yes. The same Dominic who's now in jail for violating his parole. He made mistakes. He made choices, just like you did. We sat in silence for several minutes. Outside, the neighborhood was settling into its Sunday evening routine. Normal families doing normal things, unaware of the drama playing out behind our closed doors. What happens now? She asked, finally. That depends on what you want. I want to save our marriage. Do you? Or do you just want to avoid the consequences of destroying it? I want us to be a family again. We'll never be the same family we were, Mara. That family was built on trust, and you destroyed that. Trust can be rebuilt. Can it? Because I don't think you understand what you've done. You didn't just cheat on me. You humiliated me. You made me look like a fool in front of our friends, our neighbors, our daughter. Emma doesn't know anything. Emma knows her mother tried to take her away from her father. Emma knows her mother brought a strange man into our house and let him touch our belongings. Emma knows something is very wrong, even if she doesn't understand what. Mara started crying again. I never wanted to hurt her. But you did. You hurt all of us. I can make it right. How? However you want me to. I'll do anything. I studied her face, looking for sincerity among the desperation. Anything? Yes. Cut all contact with Dominic. Forever. Done. End your friendship with Susie. She enabled this, encouraged it. Okay. Quit your job. Find something new, somewhere you can't run into him. She hesitated. Derek, I've worked there for 5 years. My career... Your career wasn't more important than our marriage when you were involved with another man. Why should it be more important now? The crude language made her flinch. I'd never spoken to her that way before. You're right, she said quietly. I'll find something else. And you'll sign a post-nuptial agreement giving up any claim to my business assets if you cheat again. That's harsh. Harsh would be divorcing you right now and fighting for full custody of Emma. This is generous. She nodded slowly. Okay. I'll sign it. And you'll go to individual therapy, not couples counseling. Individual therapy to figure out why you thought any of this was acceptable. Fine. And you'll write letters of apology to everyone who was affected by your behavior. Our friends, our neighbors, Emma's teachers who had to deal with her confusion and distress. Derek, all of them, Mara. You're going to own what you did and apologize for it. She was quiet for a long time, processing the scope of what I was demanding. Complete capitulation, total accountability, No face-saving measures or gentle transitions. "And if I do all of that," she said finally, "you'll forgive me?" "I'll consider it. That's not a guarantee." "No, it's not. But it's more than you deserve." Monday morning brought the first test of Mara's commitment to change. She called in sick to work, then spent the day writing her resignation letter and searching job sites for new opportunities. I went to work as usual, but my phone buzzed constantly with updates from friends and neighbors about the weekend's drama. The story had spread through our social circle like wildfire. Derek Lane's wife caught trying to run away with another man, police involvement, security footage, public humiliation. "Dude, I can't believe Mara did that to you," John said when he called around lunch. "I mean, I knew something was off, but this is crazy." "Yeah, well, sometimes you don't really know someone until they show you who they are." "Are you okay? Like, emotionally? This has to be devastating." "I'm managing." "What are you going to do?" "Handle it. One day at a time. If you need anything, man, anything at all, I'm here." "I appreciate that." But I didn't need anything from John or anyone else. I had everything under control. Tuesday brought news that made me smile. Big Mike called from the bar. "Thought you'd want to know," he said. "Your boy Dominic made bail yesterday, but word is his wife filed for divorce this morning, cleaned out their joint account and moved back to her mother's permanently." "Is that right?" "Yeah, and get this. She's telling everyone he's been abusive, paranoid, drinking too much, says she's scared of him." "Interesting." Also, his boss at the factory called. Apparently, they're letting him go. Something about the arrest violating company policy about criminal behavior. Sounds like he's having a rough week. Rough month, more like. Guy went from thinking he was hot shit to losing everything. Makes you think about consequences, you know? Wednesday evening, I was helping Emma with her homework when the doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see Dominic standing on my porch, his face haggard and desperate. "Stay in your room," I told Emma. "Mommy and I need to talk to someone." Mara appeared in the hallway, her face pale with fear. "What's he doing here?" "I guess we're about to find out." I opened the door but didn't invite him in. "Dominic, what can I do for you?" "We need to talk." "I don't think we do. You destroyed my life. I think you did that yourself. You set me up. The fight, the cameras, all of it. You planned everything. Did I? Or did I just give you enough rope to hang yourself?" His hands clenched into fists. "You son of a jerk. I lost everything because of you. You lost everything because you couldn't keep your hands off another man's wife. Mara wanted me. She chose me. And yet here she is, in my house, with my daughter, while you're standing on my porch begging for attention. This isn't over. Yes, it is. It's been over since the moment you thought you could take what was mine. I'll make you pay for this." "With what? You have no job, no wife, no money, no friends. You're a convicted felon with a history of poor impulse control. What exactly are you going to do to me?" The truth of his situation hit him like a physical blow. His shoulders sagged, his anger deflating into despair. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "I loved her." "No, you didn't. You wanted her. There's a difference." "She loved me too." "Did she? Because when the police showed up, she threw you under the bus pretty quickly, told them you coerced her, manipulated her, took advantage of her marriage problems." His face went white. "She didn't say that. Read the police report. It's public record." "You're lying." "Am I? Ask her yourself." I stepped aside, revealing Mara in the hallway behind me. She looked at Dominic with a mixture of pity and revulsion. "Tell him," I said to her. "Dominic, you need to leave," she said quietly. "This is over. It was a mistake. And now it's over." "Mara, please. We can still—" "No, we can't. I'm trying to save my marriage, my family. You're not part of that." After everything we shared? Everything we planned? I was confused. I made bad choices, but I'm making better ones now. You're just scared of him. I'm scared of losing my daughter. I'm scared of destroying what's left of my life. But I'm not scared of you. The dismissal was complete and devastating. Dominic looked between us, seeing the united front we presented, understanding finally that his fantasy was over. "This isn't fair," he said, sounding like a child. "Fair?" I laughed. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been respecting my marriage. Fair would have been staying away from my wife. Fair would have been not trying to steal my daughter. I never tried to steal Emma. You helped Mara pack her bags. You were in the car when they tried to leave. What would you call it? I was helping her escape an unhappy situation. You were helping her commit kidnapping. The police report is very clear about that too." He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the exact instant he realized the scope of what I'd done, the careful planning, the documentation, the manipulation of events to ensure he'd lose everything while I kept what mattered. "You're not the man I thought you were," he said. "No, I'm not. I'm much worse. And if you ever come near my family again, you'll find out just how much worse." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm promising you. Stay away from my wife, my daughter, my home, and my life. Find somewhere else to be, someone else to bother. Because if I see you again, if I even hear that you've been asking about us, I'll finish what you started. You can't. I can do whatever I want, Dominic. I have money, connections, a clean record, and a very good reason to protect my family. You have nothing. Absolutely nothing. So ask yourself, do you really want to test me?" He looked at Mara one last time, searching for any sign that she might change her mind. She stared back with cold indifference. "Goodbye, Dominic," she said. He turned and walked away without another word. I watched until his borrowed car disappeared around the corner, then closed and locked the door. "Is it really over?" Mara asked. "For him? Yes. He's got nothing left to fight with. And for us?" I looked at her. This woman who'd shared my bed for 10 years, who'd borne my child, who'd betrayed me in the most fundamental way possible. "That depends on you," I said. "You've got a lot of work to do to earn your way back into this family." "I know. I'll do whatever it takes. We'll see." But even as I said it, I knew the truth. The old Derek, the trusting husband who managed restaurants and told dad jokes, was gone forever. In his place was someone harder, more calculating, more dangerous. Someone who'd learned that the best revenge wasn't violence or destruction. It was simply being better at the game than your opponents. Mara would spend months, maybe years, trying to prove herself worthy of forgiveness. She'd quit her job, cut her ties, attend therapy, write apologies. She'd do everything I asked and more, desperate to rebuild what she'd destroyed. And maybe, eventually, I'd even forgive her. But I'd never trust her again. And I'd never forget what I was capable of when someone threatened what was mine. The devil she'd chosen was me, and I always collected my debts,